The movie now has been submitted for the Oscars and the Golden Globes. You can clap for that. Yeah, go ahead, clap for that. And it's also been featured in the Hollywood Foreign Press Golden Globes. It was screened at this year's Cannes Film Festival. That's in France. Never been there, but heard it's awesome. And it's also highlighted in the October 6th issue of the Hollywood Reporter, this event there. So if you want to check it out in Hollywood Reporter, it's in there.
Yale, Lloyd had invited Yale, which Lloyd and Yale were friends. And he invited Yale to be an extra in one of my movies. Yale sat in and watched us watched myself direct, and watched the movie go out and play out. And he was excited about it. Went on. As you see in the story, he had wrote a stage play. He never got over the death of his wife. It's a really true love story. He never got over the death of Nina. She died in '97. He would do these one-act plays to kind of go through. I guess it was just like his therapy, So he was working toward making it a movie, but it was kind of like I'll get there when I can get there. After he finished Hollywood, he got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and the doctor told him he had 3 months to live. So he immediately called Lloyd. He says, "Lloyd, I can't get in touch with Woody Allen. Josh is my next best choice. Get Josh on the phone." So Lloyd calls me and says, "Hey, I need you to talk to Yale." Now at this point, he did not tell me he was dying. He said, "Can you read my script?" I said, "Yeah, we can make this movie. What's the process?" I said, "Normally casting takes a few months. If we're lucky, we can find our leads. We gotta, the process." He says, "Well, can you make it in 3 months? I'm dying." I said, "What?" He says, "Can you make it in 3 months? I'm dying." He says, "I really, really need your help." And I said, I thought about it. I told him I'd call him back. I talked to Lloyd about it. We kind of brainstormed on it. And Lloyd says, "Josh, Yale really needs you to do this. This is his dying wish." We used all our resources to fast track this film. Now here comes audition day. This is 1 week. We send out a blast. Need this, need that, need this. I'm sorry if I'm long-winded. I just want to get it all out so y'all know. I said, "I need these two characters." Put it out. I'm thinking it's going to be very hard. I said, Yale the character Yale, we could probably get a really fine actor, but the part of Nina, it has to be special because the audience has to fall in love with Nina the same way the real life Yale did. So we need somebody special. I put it out. Our first male audition was Nick. He came right in. He'll tell you his story. He barely made it that day, but he came right in. He had the height. He did the screen test, and I felt it in my heart. I said, "That's Yale." I said, "Tell all the other guys to go home." So Yale was the first one. Beth was having a serious personal issue with her family at the time. She was one of our last auditions. All the other females, I was getting nervous. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to find this young lady in time. I said, Yale, every day he's getting sicker and sicker. We're like pulling our hair out, and she walks in. And her aura, she didn't have to say one word. She smiled. She stuck her head in the door. And she said, "Hi, I'm here for the part of Nina." I said, "Oh, really?" She did her first. I let them do a screen test. I said, "Wow, he's going to love her." Now, I didn't pick her. In my heart, I'm like, I found her. I said, but I'm going to let Yale pick her. So I took her audition tape. I made it the last tape. I let Yale look at every female actress. He looked at it. He said, I said, "Well, I got one more." He was getting discouraged because we didn't think he could find Nina. He was getting discouraged, and then I said, "Try this young lady." He looked at her. He teared up and said, "Yep, that's her. That's Nina." And that's how you have these two people playing a part.
He didn't tear up looking at me.
The minute we cast on July 1st, July 15th we started filming, and we wrapped July 27th. 12-day shoot, whole film.
That's a lot of emotion in 12 days like I was watching it. It's funny. I was sitting behind you two. You didn't see me. I was sitting behind you guys, and it was the part where they got to the love scene, and they both sunk down in their seats, as if we all weren't watching them on a huge screen already.
Is that the question? No.
Yeah. No, but what I really wanted to know was, it was a very passionate scene. Like, How much pressure, and that was on day one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And there's a lot of emotion back and forth, but how do you feel like that you're really representing someone's love story, their life story, and now the film is a legacy of that people can watch from generations in their family even more. And it obviously meant so much to Yale Schwartz that he dedicated the rest of his life to telling that love story. Did you feel pressure once you found out all of those things about your characters?
Yeah, like Josh was saying, it was a really quick process. So we were cast. I remember asking Josh, okay, I know there's an age significant, like a real big age difference. So the guy you found, he's what, 24? Because that's who they were looking for. I was 36 at the time. I was like, is he at least 24? He was like, yeah, about that. I said, okay. Turned out he was 19 years old. So
can't even take a drink.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, so I was like really nervous about that. But Yale, so the first time that we all met, Yale sat us down for hours and told us like personal stories. We really we saw pictures, but I'd never seen any footage of Nina. He got to meet Yale, which I think was a little more nerve-wracking because he was there the whole time. But for Nina, she just lived through these stories, and I just felt like I had to capture that. And to make a romance when you're like really married and all those things. I really had 2 babies, all of that stuff. It was hard, but I think through the stories and knowing how important it was, Yale actually said, you two better work on your chemistry on the first day. Yeah. But then by the end, he was actually very, very, he said, girl, you're married, so you better watch. Then it became like, wow, they actually have really good chemistry. So I think we kind of won him over, but.
He pulled you, please tell that story real quick about how please, that's a very powerful story.
There's a scene where we're playing cards a couple times, but the one scene in particular, he's in a wheelchair in real life in the other room, and he tells Josh to come over, and we're like, oh God, what did we do this time? Because it was always
what did we do now?
Yeah, what did we do now? Because like it was always like, guys, this is how we really were, the critique. So he pulled Josh aside, and he was crying, and he said, that's just how we were. Like when I heard the two of them together and I heard her like joking with him, that's exactly how she was with me, and it was like having my wife back again. And he was just like
crying,
sobbing, and it meant a lot. Yeah, it was really.
And I know Nick wants to answer real quick. I do want to say this. Today is the actual anniversary of his death. He died October 21st. October 6th, our Hollywood Reporter article came out. That was their anniversary. So I really everything is just happening, I believe he's up above pulling some strings. The main question is he did see 10 minutes of the film, and he cried. And for me, it was like a lot of weight off my shoulder, because I had this pressure on me to really produce this movie for this gentleman that's passing. And he saw it, he cried and cried. He told me, he says, thank you, you gave me my dying wish. And every time the mailman came to his house, anybody, piece of delivery person came, he pulled him in, right, Lloyd? Yeah. He pulled him in and showed, hey, once you watch my movie, it's coming. But he loved it. And so for me, that picture of Beth and him on his deathbed, literally, she'll tell you about that, but it was joyful for me to give him his gift. And now we're here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just wanted to add that in there.
What is there left to say?
I got it.
So the question the pressures, I guess. How do you, even though we're actors, right? How do you walk into somebody's life who is for one, with 3 months to live, how do you walk into somebody's house who's expecting you to be them? Exactly. How do you walk in and do that? So and at 19, this was my first movie. It was both of our first movies, and it was just, it was unbelievable. How do you do that? So when as was said, Yale was on set with us too. We were on location. There's so many stories, but there were times where I'm not the best dancer. and they do a very good job of covering that up. But
So those aren't your feet?
no, those are somebody else. No, those aren't my feet. But you know, you can teach feet. You can't really teach rhythm. I have a lot to learn. Now, so I'm self-sabotaging here. I know. So there was a time where we were dancing, and Yale actually rolled in. He pulled the strength up to embarrass me. He came in, and day one. This was it was day one, and he came in and he goes, Josh, I'm sorry to say this, but I was a damn good dancer. I'm like, all right, that's okay. So that was the first time, and we don't have enough time for all the other. No, the pressure, it was a lot, but it was.
You did fantastic, though.
I appreciate it. I truly. But you know, there was a love in Yale, right? You know, if nothing else failed, it was all I had to do was convey a love and a passion for, I mean, I got it from his love for the story and his love for Nina. So, and you know, all I had to do was just fall back on, you know, what is love? You know, what is passion? So, I mean, I'm 21 now, but in 19 years, there's only so much of that you can experience. But, you know, you have to put yourself in a position where you can feel everything. There's a lot of vulnerability. And I think that we owe that as actors to the characters who we have to play, and when you have a real life character, yeah, there's the pressure of doing so, but we owe it to them. You know, we owe this man this story. So, you know, that pressure was a nice kind of like hand on the shoulder, like it's gonna be okay. Just, you know, and trust your director, trust your co-star, and trust the team. Everybody made everything extremely easy. Yale did too. You know, he was really great with me. He was extremely understanding of my slow feet and everything else. But it was the pressure was beautiful in the end. You know, it always is. So hindsight, it was fantastic. But in the moment, it was definitely a lot of So
and I wanted to add just one more thing. So also, Josh purposely put all of the intense love stuff on day one. That was first. Hi, I just met you. How are you? Never kissed on camera. Let's do a love scene.
There was a wall, there was a table.
There's a man dying in the other room. Like all of this.
That scene where you see them
dancing.
That scene where you see her being thrown against the wall. That was day one of filming.
After 14 hours?
Yeah.
Was it 13,
They had just met
14
like a
hours?
week prior, and I said, listen, if y'all can get, this is my little, and I didn't tell them we were shooting that until I said, hey, let's shoot this scene first. Because I felt if I could break the ice, then it's good. It's good to go. Because
Well,
obviously,
that's true.
Yeah, I said, I want you, first he was like, you know, I said, no, Nick, throw her against the wall. And they went at it, and it broke the ice. And they were a married couple for 2 weeks.
Well, no, because then it like showed like the intimacy that you guys had in the softer moments, you know, in the car, in playing cards, in the car with each other. Do you really think so? Like, do you think his character is more like, oh, I really actually don't think they're a good match for each other, so I'm going to sabotage by all means?
Yeah, he definitely was trying to sabotage.
I mean,
without a doubt.
I don't know who told them. Girl, let me tell you, they're over and I got to go though.
Yeah, he definitely. I just think he was jealous because of the relationship with Yale, and he just didn't want to be lonely. I think that was sad. That was a little sad.
So he's not a villain. He's just a bit misunderstood.
He's a little bit misunderstood, correct?
That's
Man, he's a fantastic.
You didn't.
I thought he was sweet on Nina a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I kind of was like, well, maybe Jerry thinks that he should.
Well, that was I did have a chance to talk to Yale before we shot the scenes and all, and I tried to get a good sense because there is a real Jerry Stern, that's not his real last name, out there somewhere, and I was just, you know, trying to pick his brain, and this was my interpretation. So
It was good. It was good. Right?
It was a great interpretation. So, Nick, didn't forget about you, Nick. You're all the way down. Didn't forget about you. 12 days. 12 days. That's not even full 2 weeks. 12 days. What was that like shooting so rapidly, so quick? How many hours a day are you on set? Like how does that move and what's that schedule? Don't look at Josh. Look at me.
How many hours was he there, or how many hours was I there?
Well, it's a personal experience. You want to talk about that? Yeah.
Certainly.
Are you drove from Baltimore?
He drove from Baltimore.
Are you? Round of applause for Nick for driving all the way from Baltimore. I don't know if you ever driven that.
I didn't drive to California.
That's still a far ways.
Philadelphia. It was quick. It was fast. Constantly in motion, and there was no time to take a breath really. But what I saw when Josh sent out those 10 minutes was, I kind of said, "Oh my gosh, we have got some magic here," because you don't realize it as you're shooting, and you're shooting the same scene 20 different times and things like that. But you start to see the product, and you just go, "Oh my God, this is what we did in those 2 weeks." I mean, we had to travel to the beach. We had to shoot in different locations. And just everybody shows up, everybody's professional, and I've noticed this working with other movies with Jeff, everybody's pulling for everybody to be as great as they can possibly be. And that's inspiring to see. There's no egos, there's no anything. Everybody was just working to make this man's dream. And it was amazing. Like I said, inspiring, and it was very easy for me. Val and Pete did an unbelievable job. I mean, I showed up and sets were ready, and we were marking where extras were going to be, and it was just a flow straight through everything. Now, one thing I would like to point out, getting back to these two, though, real quick. That first day of shooting, the slam up against the wall, and Nick kind of rips all the buttons off his shirt. Yale looks over at us and goes, "Well, this didn't happen."
I gotta add too. Go ahead.
Here, you can take this one. Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
No, please.
3 minutes.
On that first day we met Yale, he shared with us, okay, this is why we didn't know this scene was coming. He shared with us when I gave her the look, she stared into my eyes and said, "I love you so much." It was the most passionate kiss I've ever had in my entire life. He shot it like that when you said the "I love you" kiss, do that. But then we cut it up because Yale was very big on, he didn't want his kids to know that, or he didn't want her kids to view her like that. So we put it to the end of the film because he did write that his dad asked him point blank, "Are you having relations with this woman?" And he did write that he admitted, "Yes, I was." So we did it as a flashback.
Yeah, we needed a
Out of
payoff.
respect of the kids and Yale.
And the audience needed a payoff.
But we didn't shoot it that way, so.
One more quick.
That shirt, that was Danny Plaza's shirt. That was a prop shirt. And I broke the button because it was the end of a 13-hour day.
That's what best friends are for.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I have no idea how close we've gotten since then. No, and it was just like, so we had to do it, quick, and it was just like, wow. So I was just like, all right, we gotta get this done, and then all of a sudden, it was just like, all right, the shirt had to come off, and the button wasn't coming off, and then boom, and then I get told afterwards, I'm like, "That wasn't a prop shirt." I'm like, "Well, then whose shirt was that?" And they go, "It was Danny's," and then they tell me later that he's a cop, and I'm like, "Oh." But it was funny. I had to add.
No, Danny, I always brag about Danny. Danny is one of my favorite male actors. Amen. This man is so talented.
You can give it up for him. That's fine.
This movie doesn't even do it justice of the range of this man, and it's in his family. He's from a famous family, and it's the blood. The blood is definitely
Runs deep.
It runs deep, man. You're a fantastic actor. I just want to tell you that.
Okay, well, you guys give it up one more time for Beth, Nick, Lloyd, Danny, and Nick.